Welcome to Fitzdog Radio. I'm your beloved host, your leader, your fearless leader, leading you into, a space of questioning, of redemption, perhaps. Maybe some laughs. Let's hope some laughs. I had a huge night last night. You know, it's like there's moments in my career, and I don't use that word a lot, career, because it's all just a game. It's all just fun. And it's funny when you step back and you call it a career, but there's moments there are also moments in my life. Like I did my stand-up special last night, and I want to thank everybody that came out to the Comedy Store. 2 shows on a Sunday night going up against the fucking Grammys. But we sold out both shows. We got a nice group of people. People were awesome, and it was something that was not just a career thing, but it's a personal thing, because it's where I see how my friends and family turn out and support me. Tons of messages, phone calls, good wishes. All the support I've gotten over the last couple months that I've been kind of gearing up for this. And also I see what I'm capable of in terms of focus and getting myself mentally and physically prepared for this. Like I worked out. Like I went after this. I remember watching Louie C.K. get ready for his specials, and he would run and box. I think he took it more seriously than me, but I went to the gym like 5 days a week for the last few months, really getting my head into it, meditating every day, going to therapy, talking about shit, taping my set, videotaping it for months, watching it, rewatching it. I didn't jerk off for a month. Today, I will jerk off. Oh, it's going to be sweet. Oh, to withhold from yourself for that long? I had alacrity. I had mental dexterity. And now it'll all turn to mush again as I whack off to some Czechoslovakian hidden camera massage porn. Oh, baby. Just closing this thing off on the computer. Closing that camera so that the Czechs can't see me. Squinting and sweating. Oh, God, this is gross. All right, anyway. Anytime you have these big moments, it's a reckoning. It's a time where you really see what you're capable of. And as I get older, my memory is not as sharp. And doing an hour of material actually took some effort, because I wing it. My stand-up is very much crowd work, making shit up about where I am, what's happening in the room at the time. And then I just sort of grab jokes from thin air. They're jokes I've done for way too long, some of them. But I don't have them in an order. And to do an hour, you really have to have it locked down, because for editing purposes, you kind of have to do the same set twice. So we did 2 sets. I remembered everything. And it was and now the depression sets in, because with having something singularly to focus on for the last period of time, it's given me a reason to go to the gym and to meditate and to be present. And now that reason's over, and you're kind of floating adrift again. And a lot of times after big events, I remember the first time I did Letterman. It was a high point in my career. And I was so down for like a week after that. I was just because nothing is ever going to reach what you think it's going to be emotionally. And so you crash after that. So it's nice. A lot of people are checking in today, which means a lot. And it means a lot. I got to give a shout out to the Comedy Store, which is just like such a legendary institution of comedy. One of the first clubs in the country. It's a place where, Kinison started, Pryor started, Martin Lawrence, David Letterman, Gary Shandling. It's just a storied place, and there's still the same. It still has the same respect today. So to do it there meant a lot. That they supported me and they produced it. The Comedy Store produced the special themselves, and they've only produced a handful. Louis C.K. did one there. Gerard Carmichael, Fahim Anwar. I think Eleanor Kerrigan's doing one now, and so it's sacred space. I was very aware of that last night. And Peter Shore flew down. He owns the store. He's Paulie's brother and Mitzi's son. He kind of runs the place, and he was very supportive. John Skostis, who runs the production wing of the Comedy Store, was amazing. And I got to thank Bobcat Goldthwait, who came out and sort of like guided me through it, gave me a lot of great advice, scouted the site, gave us all kinds of technical stuff about lighting, and couldn't have done it without him. Thank you to Bobcat. And the wait staff. You never leave out the wait staff. They were great. They kept the crowd in control. Tim Dillon came down to watch. That was nice. Tal Wilkenfeld. I don't know if people know Tal. She's a bass player. She's a really amazing bass player, and she just suffered a loss because Jeff Beck and she were very tight, and he kind of launched her career. I think he launched her career. I know that they did a lot of stuff together, and he just passed a few weeks ago. And then she got approached by Incubus, who I don't know Incubus that much, but I know they're a huge band, and they approached her to tour with them. So she had like 6 days to learn an entire set of music from a band that she didn't know their music. I mean, I think she was a big fan of theirs, but she didn't necessarily know how to play all their music. And in 6 fucking days, she learned how to play bass on, it's pretty complicated music. I was just listening to it this morning. And, it rocks hard. And the bass is a big part of it. But it's just amazing what some people's minds are capable of. I'm friends with another bass player, a guy named Chris Chaney, he's the bass player for Jane's Addiction, and he's played in a lot of big bands. He tours with everybody. Alanis Morissette, Jagged Little Pill tour, that was him. And when he got the job for Alanis, he got a call that they needed a bass player. He didn't know the music. And they said, swing by your agent's office. They have the sheet music and a cassette tape of Jagged Little Pill, which had just come out. And he sat in his car outside of the studio where he was going to go audition. And he sat there for a couple of hours, and he listened to the cassette tape, and he learned the songs. And then he went in and he auditioned, and he fucking got it. That's sick. These are brains that should be removed when these people die and examined. Like, how is that possible? Anyway, also thanks to Gary Cannon, who did an amazing job as the MC. He does warm up in LA, and he's also a really strong comic, and he got them going. Annie Letterman did a set. Martin Amini did a set. And now my material, here's the best part about this special, is that material is now dead to me. I am moving on. I've been doing it. I haven't done a special in a lot of years, and this is the material that I've been doing. And now that I've done it on a special, I really can't do it anymore. So I'm like already excited about a bunch of new ideas I have and sort of what direction my comedy is going to go in. I think more dick jokes. I'm going to talk about lesbians a lot and try to embarrass my family as much as possible with my material. Now, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with it. In some ways, I feel like this is a point of departure. Like, I want to start talking about stuff more. And I think I've always been somebody that came up with funny ideas and did them on stage and then honed them until they were tight jokes. But now I think I want to talk about some shit, some stuff I've been thinking about, and it's time to put it out on stage. So that's going to be coming up. the show went smooth. There was, just great response, standing ovations on both shows, which felt really nice. That's the way you want to end it. And the only hiccups were they told the crowd, Gary Cannon told the crowd, do not stand up during the taping. If you have to go to the bathroom, do it now. Do it during the opening act set. Don't do it during So 30 minutes into my 60-minute set, this woman, big woman, in the front fucking row, right on the stage, just stands up and gets up to go take a shit. I'm assuming it was a shit. But it was so fucking annoying because it was a long bit, and now I can't, that bit's dead. So I hope we got it in the second show, but we didn't get it in the first show because of her. Thanks, lady. And then also in the second show, and I don't blame anybody for this, but I really went out of my way to ask my friends not to come to the taping because it's just a distraction. And in a way, it would have been better to tape this on the road where I don't know anybody. But a lot of my friends wanted to come out, and I asked them, I said, thank you for the support, but I don't want to deal with, like, getting a text from Dennis Gubbins 10 minutes before the show saying, oh, do not let me park in the lot, or whatever. No offense, Dennis, but that's what would happen. And also, it's just distracting. And I like that Tim was there and Annie was there. They stayed and watched the set because they're peers. But audience members don't always get that it's not a party. They think that because they're serving alcohol and it's nighttime that it's all a party. And it's not. This is fucking work. And I'm taking it very seriously. So anyway, so this is not this guy's fault, but a guy I know, I work with Best Buddies, which is an organization that's amazing. They help people with intellectual disabilities, help them find housing, they help them find internships and paid jobs, and a great group. And I work with them, and I volunteer, and then I produce a benefit every year where we raise money, and it's a stand-up benefit. And on the show, I think starting in the second year, and he's done it every year since, is a comedian that I got to know who has Asperger's, and he is really funny, and he performs, and he goes up and he fucking kills on a lineup with people like, we get crazy people on this show. We had Rogan, and Norm Macdonald has done this show. David Spade's done this show. And he goes up and he talks about being on the spectrum, and he's autistic, and he fucking nails it. He's so funny. He gets stuck sometimes, and then he has to kind of fight his way out of it. And it's very inspiring to watch every year. And he's a great guy, and his family are awesome. His parents are so sweet and so funny. But anyway, so I've been doing a little bit of crowd work last night, and then he like kind of raised his hand, and I was like, oh, I know you. And I was in the middle of a bit, and it just fucking threw me. I was just like, because you just start thinking thoughts that I don't have to do with your stand-up. It pulls you out. And I just got flummoxed, and I dropped the bit entirely. And I was gibberish. I didn't know what I was saying. And then I kind of found my way back into the set again. But, yeah, God, it's so hard. It's so hard to focus. You know, you got so many things going through your head. But again, I appreciated him coming out and the support. Could not sleep when I got home last night. I was so jacked up. I hung out. None of my friends came except I had a few people kind of snuck in on me, and they were sitting in the back. So I hung out with them until like 1 a.m. And I got to bed, and I swear I was up until 5 a.m. I just could not unwind. And now it's the next day, and we're off. We're off. Okay, so what else? It's a solo podcast today. I really did not have the time this past week to get a guest. And also, I sort of felt like I wanted to talk about the special afterwards. I'm pretty euphoric about it. I feel like it couldn't have gone any better. And so it's all behind me. It's all behind me. We just got to edit it and then put it up. And I'll announce soon how it's going to be viewed. We're still figuring that out. I mean, we know what we're doing, but it's still this contracts and bullshit. So anyway, just got invited to some Super Bowl parties. But you know what? I think I might bow out. I think I'm really into watching this game this year. I think it's going to be a great game, and I want to sit at home the way I was all season. I just sit on my couch alone and I watch football every Sunday during football season, and I think that's how I should watch the Super Bowl. And I'll make some bets. I lost $550 to Mike Gibbons this year on this stupid Tom Brady Buccaneers bet that I always make. Brady fucking sucked this year. What an asshole. What a way to ruin it. He didn't ruin his legacy. He's still the GOAT. But man, he left people on a down note. He could have gone out as the guy who was married to the woman that loves him and the kids that look up to him, and instead he went out as this desperate fucking flailing loser and lost me a lot of money. So I don't want to see his face. I don't want to watch football on a Sunday and have Tom Brady in there with Tony Romo with his toothy fucking Tom Brady smile. Just disappear. Just go away for a while. You're like the popular kid. You're the kid that sat in the front of the bus. There's front of the bus kids and there's back of the bus kids. I like the back of the bus kids. You know? Anyway, what else is going on? You remember, I was thinking of the back of the bus. When we used to sit in the back of the bus, we used to play a game called Mercy, where you interlock your fingers with somebody else's hands, and then you both try to break the other person's fingers. And the first person to say mercy loses. And we used to do that in the back of the bus. And then you'd also play chicken, where you would wind up and punch each other in the arm as hard as you could. And the first one to say chicken lost. What's wrong with children? Why can't there be love? Boys are so fucked up. And yet they're easier. You know, I got a boy and a girl, and the boy was so much easier, less complicated, but dumb. They're just dumb. And I was one. I cringe when I think about some of the shit that I used to do. The places I took shits. We were once at Marymount College. There was a college in Tarrytown, New York, where I grew up. All girls Catholic school. And it was filled with these girls from the Bronx who were like, you know, Italian, Irish, Latino girls that were from these, you know, tight Irish Catholic families, Italian Catholic families. And they'd send them up to Tarrytown. And there was a convent of nuns, and then there was a girls' college. And, of course, me and my friends from the age of 13 and up were at that school drinking, flirting, being laughed at by the girls till we got a little older. By the time when we turned about 16, all of a sudden, like with a couple bottles of wine, you could get a girl to come sit down by the lake with you and maybe make out, get some titty. But before that, when we were like 12 and 13, I remember one time we were in the library. And there was no security back then. Nowadays, you can't walk on a college campus. Back then, we would just walk on campus. We went to the library, and we were on the 4th floor. There was 4 floors in the library, and my friends dared me to take a shit. And so we were on the 4th floor. They hit the 1st floor. I dropped my pants. I pinched a loaf, got my pants up, got to the ground floor, doors open. 3 girls got on. We walked off and laughed for approximately 3.5 hours. It was crazy. But I'm so embarrassed by that. What an asshole move. What is wrong? And then we used to like, oh God, we were, it was bad. And these girls deserve better than what we did. Ugh. Catcalling. Ugh. But, you know, a couple of them became grown up. When I got older, when I was like 18, I dated some of them. Had some nice relationships with these girls. Took a virginity or two. Not going to lie to you. Couple notches on the belt. Coming up next week on the podcast, Jay Okerson, Big Jay Okerson from New York, is out in L.A. I don't know if maybe he's promoting a new special, or I don't know what's going on with him, but goddamn, looking forward to hanging out with that dude. He's very funny. Good hang, good dude. He's got a show with Dan Soder called The Bonfire on Sirius XM. I don't know if it's still on, but for years I used to listen to that show. Those guys are as good as anybody on the radio. So quick, such good rapport with each other. And so I can't wait. Can't wait to have him on. And then Tim Dillon said he wants to come on the podcast, unsolicited. Didn't ask him. He offered. It's very nice. So he's going to be on maybe the week after that. And then I don't know who after that. I got a bunch of people. So let's get to some. Let's talk a little bit about Factor. Factor is it's a meal delivery, ready-to-eat meal kit. It saves you time. It delivers quality food that will help you fuel up fast, nutritious meals right at your door. And look, we don't all have time to cook. And I did something. My mother, who's been very sick this year, she lost about 20 pounds. And I signed her up for her Christmas gift. I bought her Factor. So she started getting meals, and I ordered the high-protein ones because we're trying to put weight on her. And you don't even put it in the freezer. It goes in the fridge, and it takes 2 minutes to heat up. And it is like gourmet. It's amazing. And she fell in love with this stuff. She's been eating it every day. She calls me all the time to tell me which meals she liked. She doesn't like the peppers. And she has put 6 pounds on, which she really needed. So thank you, Factor, for helping my family. It's so great when you believe in a product and you can use it. So anyway, if you're too busy to cook, I don't know what your lifestyle is, but you can get keto, calorie smart, vegan, and veggie, protein plus. There's 34 chef-prepared, dietitian-approved weekly options. Always something new to try. And it's cheaper than takeout. It's faster than restaurant delivery. It takes 2 minutes. It's like, boom, you're done. Life got real easy with Factor. So get Factor, enjoy clean eating without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door. Ready in just 2 minutes, no prep, no mess. Head to factormeals.com/Fitzdog50. That's 50. And use code Fitzdog50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code Fitzdog50 at factormeals.com/Fitzdog50 to get 50% off your first box. That's a lot of alliteration, but we did it. Okay. All right, so let's get to some letters. We got a lot of nice mail in the mailbag from you guys this week. This one comes from Blake Downing. Hey, Greg. In high school in 2003, I had a class project where we had to write a politician. I wrote George Bush and Bill Clinton. They both wrote back. George's response was one of those copy-paste replies that they mass-produce. Bill Clinton's, on the other hand, was a full-page response that felt like he might have wrote it. Really, Blake? The word I was in the letter, so my teacher thought it was actually Bill that replied. I don't understand what that means. Oh, the word I was in the letter. My teacher was tripping out over the response and read it to the class. I remember I wrote this letter telling him how I liked how he treated the ladies. Some dumbass teenage bullshit. Okay, so you wrote Bill Clinton about women and he wrote you back? I was buzzed this week and out of curiosity Googled Ghislaine Maxwell. Do I say that right? Is it Ghislaine? I think so. It should be. And I found out what prison she's locked up in, did a little research on how to write a prisoner and figured out her prisoner number. Wrote her a letter to see if she'll reply. Included a stamp, kept the letter short and non-judgmental. So we'll see. Do you think this was a bad idea? Could this get me on some sort of watch list? No, I love it. And Blake, please keep me posted. I would be fascinated to see if Ghislaine Maxwell is writing people back from prison. Maybe she is. These people are demented and they're narcissists. And, you know, you hear all the time about prisoners getting back to people. So keep me posted. This one's from Adam Stewart. I hear the Guinness 00 is pretty good. Oh, it's a non-alcoholic Guinness. He's talking about me going over to Ireland. Not sure you know Cork's biggest slang word is langer. You can call someone a langer, kind of like the same as asshole. Or we call our dicks our langer. Or if you get drunk, you would say I'm langerated or langers. By the way, I enjoyed the pod where you started like, hello, what the fuckers. Heading to Ireland. We just rented a house for my family, my sister, my mom, my brother, everybody's kids. We're all heading over in Kenmare in County Cork, County Kerry, which is where my grandfather is from. And it's a beautiful little town. We got a nice house on a river with a canoe and an outdoor patio, which who knows in Ireland if you're going to use it much. But I can't wait. Getting back to the roots. So Sean Roscoe said there's a reason why there are so few black people in the crowd in Portland. From 1844 to 1926, black people weren't legally allowed to reside in the state of Oregon. Do you believe that shit? While it's not explicitly illegal now, less than 2% of the population is black. Wow. That's crazy. I mean, I knew it was, I had no idea it was as late as 1926. And you go to Portland and it's so funny because they're so woke and progressive and yet there's no diversity. And that is a weird thing about when I go to some places and I'm like I've been to Idaho. I'm like, wow, this is fucking beautiful. I could live here. And then after a couple of days, you're like, I've seen nothing but white people. And it makes you feel a little bit creeped out. Like, I don't know if I want to live like that. But hey, if you're black, move to Portland. Maybe you'll open people's minds to what it's like to have a black friend. Speaking of this same topic, hey Greg, been listening to all your podcasts for years. Thanks for getting me through COVID. On this week's Sunday Papers, you said there was no black people in the audience in Portland. That's where I got to correct you because there were two of us on Friday at 7:30. My white husband and I were playing Spot the Other Black Person, and I won by spotting a tall black guy in the back row right away. I even said hello to him as we both happened to be leaving the show together. I can't speak for the other shows last weekend, but me and other black guy were there, and we demand to be counted. Since I know your memory is like Swiss cheese, I won't hold it against you. And then she sent a picture of us together this time and also from January 2020. Adesina. Thank you, Adesina. She's a wonderful woman. I remember we hung out after the show for a while. And that must be weird when you're a black person in a white city, and then you see another black person. I mean, it's almost like how I've heard celebrities talk about when they see another celebrity in a crowd, they'll acknowledge each other like there's a kinship. There's something that's understood and that they almost have a relationship. And I wonder if it's like that for black people in Oregon. You know, if they see each other and there's just like a, yeah, yep. You don't have to say anything. Just, yep, got it. Yeah, we're living a similar situation here. Andy Beach said, you guys talked about how cherished any nudity was back in the day. Brought back an amazing riff you and Adam Carolla did on the subject years ago. You guys landed on the premise that the best strip club ever would be one where you walk through areas where you accidentally get peeks at women, like you famously did with the lovely Natasha Leggero. Yeah, I once saw Natasha Leggero getting changed in a dressing room through a mirror by accident. Was not trying to look, but I looked up, and for a second or two, or maybe three, I saw her in her underwear, and it was very beautiful. She's a very beautiful woman, and a friend. It's weird when you see a friend in her underwear. It wasn't my sister. That would have been creepy, but a good friend is okay. She's also done a fair amount of nudity. She did a web series where she was nude on a fake reality show a lot. So I think she's proud of her body. I guess. Why not? Anyway, so I remember that premise, and it was like instead of having a girl hanging off a pole, it's like a girl who's walking across the floor, and she's got a towel, nothing but a towel on, and then she pretends to trip, and the towel falls off, and then she clutches her breasts and runs screaming from the room. Like, just a bunch of incidences like that would be more exciting for some of us than seeing, some girl fucking spread her legs. Some of these strip clubs that I haven't been to a strip club in a long time, but there's different levels. Like there's strip clubs where if they serve alcohol, they have to keep their bottoms on. And with no alcohol, they can take them off. Almost as if the alcohol would make men lose their shit too much. Like the morality changes when there's booze. And so they have to put some restrictions on the woman's nudity, which is always a funny concept to me. Or like or not allowing a strip club within, a quarter mile of a school. Like somehow, like a guy is getting out of a strip club and he's all horned up and he just goes fucking sprinting towards the school with his cock out, pants around his ankles, and the kids are all hiding under the slide, but he can't get there because he's so out of shape, and with the pants around the ankles, he can't make it the quarter of a mile. What does that mean? What is the quarter mile accomplishing? Yeah. And then he says, speaking of which, why haven't you and Gibbons ever been on Corolla together? That's a great idea. I think maybe next time I go on, I'm going to bring Gibbons with me. We're doing Bert's, he's got a cooking show. I think it's called Something's Burning with Bert or something. I don't know. Me and Gibbons are doing it tomorrow, so that should be coming out soon. I don't know how long it takes him to turn those episodes around. This one's from Scott. Listening to you and Doug Benson talk about music biopics prompted me to get off my ass and write you. Where most biopics of any kind stumble is by trying to tell you the whole story. I agree 1,000%. They shouldn't try to cover cradle to grave. It's too much. My favorite music biopic is Love and Mercy. Instead of attempting to tell all of Brian Wilson's story, they focus on two specific eras of his timeline and weave them together with outstanding performances from John Cusack and Paul Dano as two different versions of Brian Wilson. Yeah, that was amazing. That was such a great movie. And I think it's one of the things that I've gotten progressively more into the Beach Boys. When I grew up in New York, I liked them like anybody did. And then I moved out here and I got fascinated with Pet Sounds. And so then I saw this movie and it took me to a whole other level. So I highly recommend it. Miles Ahead is also cool. Instead of trying to tell the Miles Davis story, they tell a story about a specific time in the life of Miles Davis. Don Cheadle stars as Miles. Ewan McGregor co-stars. Nice. Jake C. I have been beating myself up over something stupid. First of all, I love your work. Absolutely killer. Saw you in Atlanta on Friday. Was excited for the show. Had a great time. A couple talkers in the crowd, but you were great. Anyway, you were selling your pins after the show. I bought one. I sell pins after the show. I should offer them on my website. For some dumbass reason, I tried to make a joke Comics love it when that happens, I'm sure. And I implied that you were pocketing the money you said you were donating to charity. I give 10% of the pen money to Best Buddies. I fucking hated myself the moment it came out of my mouth. I saw that it offended you, and I left. Look, or might not remember this interaction at all. I remembered it. I stuck my foot in my mouth trying to be funny and implied something I don't believe and didn't mean to imply. I wasn't drunk or anything like that. I was just trying to make a connection with an artist I like, and it came out like a turd in a punch bowl. Well, listen. And then he offers to make a $100 donation to Best Buddies as a way of making amends, which is very sweet, unnecessary. But Jake, look, I have met porn stars. And because I hosted the Porn Awards a couple times. And when you meet them, it's very hard to be yourself and relax because you admire them. And it's an unusual occupation. So you're not really sure how to handle it. And so I think you probably flirt. You probably feel like you can be more risque around them, whereas they probably would rather you just be yourself. So I get it. People often try to be funny with me because I'm a comedian and they feel like they have to be funny or edgy. And you don't. I just, after the show, I'm just so grateful that people came. I really enjoy talking to people. And even when they commit a faux pas, it really doesn't bother me that much because I understand that it's a quick interaction. And it's not always like your best version of a conversation. But thank you for the note, Jake. K2 wrote, this came at the end of my word a day email. I thought you might enjoy it. A thought for today. I learned compassion from being discriminated against. Everything bad that's ever happened to me has taught me compassion. And that is from the great Ellen DeGeneres, who has so much compassion. And I guess it comes from, being somebody who was treated poorly. And so she, in turn, has gone out of her way to really only treat people well. And I think that's great. And I think we can all learn from Ellen once again. What a pillar of compassion and empathy. This is a correction from Lars Eric Pearson. More to come, but I'm listening to the intro before Benson Pod, and you conflated two of the helicopter stories. Holly, Valens, and Bopper did indeed die together. However, Waylon Jennings lost the coin flip to fly with SRV on his helicopter flight. Who's SRV? SRV. Bonus crazy. Waylon was already sitting in the copter when he lost and had to get out. When he did, his wallet fell out of his pocket, unbeknownst to him. So when they were sifting through the rubble, they found his wallet and told the world he was among the dead. He had to call his wife from upstate New York and tell her he was still alive. Jesus. Lastly, one other passenger missed the SRV helicopter and survived, Eric Clapton. Damn. Fuck. Slow hand. Daniela, who has a correction as well. Daniela Terhorst was about to write a correction when you said it was Making Love where Al Pacino played a gay man. Surely you were mistakenly meant Cruising, which was a film. That was the gay leather film that Pacino did. And Making Love, which I then looked up because I couldn't remember it, was also a gay film, but it was about like a couple, and the guy in the couple was having, I think, 3 ways with another guy and his wife, something like that. But I conflated them. All right, let's do one overheard, and then we're going to wrap this baby up. Kevin Pearl said, at Thanksgiving, my 16-year-old nephew was talking about his first job at an amusement park. Quote, you can tell how little they disregard, how little regard they have for their employees. They use single-ply toilet paper. Oh, Kevin, did you hit the nail on the head? When you go to a business, I mean, sometimes you're on the road and you got to drop a deuce and you're like, all right, where am I going to stop? Am I going to stop at a Ramada Inn where there's going to be single ply? Or am I going to try to find a Marriott or maybe a Ritz-Carlton where there's going to be 3 soft, beautiful plies? Oh. And then, or what about a hotel that's got a bidet going? Oh, the bidet. Not that shitty one I got in my toilet that's just plugged into the cold water and it blasts freezing cold water at warp speed. Like, it's like there's a war protest going on and they're spraying you with the fucking hose right in your ass. Like being ass raped by a popsicle. Not fun. No, I'm talking about the heated bidet with the little nozzle where you can aim it like a joystick. You can aim where it's hitting and the pressure is under your control. I'm going to get one of those bad boys. All right, well, listen, folks, I'm going to lay a little bit low on the stand-up for a while. Just a couple dates coming up. We got Helium in Philly on March 9th through the 11th. St. Patrick's Day, we will be doing a show at the Hollywood Improv. Gibbons and Gubbins and myself, March 17th. And then Laugh Boston in June, I think 16th and 17th. That's now on the website. You can get tickets. Go to Fitzdog.com for all your ticketing needs. Again, thanks so much to all of you for your support. So many listeners have written in with support for doing the special. I can't wait for it to come out and for you guys to see it. It's something that it's taken years to put the material together. I'm really proud of, and it was a big success last night. I'm very relieved, and thanks to the Comedy Store and all those people. And Midcoast Media, thank you for their great work producing and editing the podcast. We'll catch you guys later. God bless America.